my opening remarks. Would you have any idea what the definition is of despotism? Despotism, which is mentioned in the Declaration of Independence. Despotism means the exercise of absolute power, especially in a cruel and oppressive way. Despotism, in case you were wondering what it meant. I can make an argument that the United States government has been active in despotism towards the American people as it pertains to COVID-19. Lockdowns, in particular, were cruel and unusual punishment. A government who didn't know really what they were doing. Now, you can say it was all well intended. You can even say the medical community was well intended. And you know what? I might be willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, certainly on the medical community side of it. I'm not so sure about the government side of it. But the medical community was dealing with something that they really had never dealt with before. So maybe the overreaction was what they had considered a smart thing. But as we look at this now, again, it is yet another example of a miscalculation, a mistake being made through COVID. I mean, we've gone over dozens of mistakes. Mask, no mask. 6 feet, 3 feet, 12 feet, outside, inside, get a shot, don't get a shot. The list is long. But lockdowns broke the economy. Not only did it break the economy, it changed the way people think. How many people do you know became satisfied with this status quo of staying home? Having Big Brother send them a check every single week to make sure that they have groceries. And they get a chance to live that life of leisure on their couch. Little ambition, little drive, because government says it's dangerous to go outside. Lockdowns had little to do, or very little to do, with public health. I think it was 0.2%, or 0.2%, excuse me. They said 0.2% of the people were saved because of lockdowns. We're talking about a fraction of a fraction. The lockdowns imposed enormous economic and social costs. Job losses in March and April 2020 exceeded 22 million and have not and may never fully recover. The people who worked in 2020 who lost their jobs because of COVID, because of the shutdowns, they may never go back to work again. They may not. Or they may never go back to work in the job that they have chosen. Those jobs may be gone or marginalized or completely changed. So their lives are forever different. But more importantly than the adults whose lives were turned upside down, and everybody's life, for the most part, was turned upside down. Yours was, mine was. And it's still happening to this day. There are still residual effects of the lockdowns, residual effects of COVID. You still see people walking around constantly with masks on outside, mask driving in a car. There's been a brainwash happening across the United States of America. A sense of despotism, cruel and unusual punishment. But the kids are different now. For 3 years, 2.5, I mean, I think they realized that they're breaking these kids. So even the real progressive folks have accepted that this change of home learning was too much. Even now, they're seeing that. But these kids, I mean, when you look back at your life and you think about the great times, even the bad times, things that you used to build the character into the person that you are today, you look back. It was high school, a lot of it, right? You learned how to be a friend with somebody. You learned how to get along. You learned how to navigate your way through a tough spot. You did that in high school. You figured it out. Either you had a lot of friends or you didn't have a lot of friends. You had close-knit friends. Some of your friends did this. Some of your friends did that. Some of your peers did this. They said that. You got teased. You got razzed. You got beat up. You beat somebody up. You learn life skills. In high school, you learned how to have a conversation with somebody face to face. Man, it's very different. But kids lost years of educational and social development that will affect them for the rest of their life. They'll never be able to get these years back. Never. They're lost. And the psych problems for kids have gone through the roof. Now, I'm sure you all know somebody who's got a kid in that age group. I'm talking predominantly about, 6th, 7th, 8th, and then high school kids. Because, you get younger, you can, even though the developmental, the brain at the developmental stage at that age is huge. But I think the social skills are really, I'll use the word retarded at that age. I mean, it's been really broken. And it's hard to disagree with the Hopkins research conclusion that lockdowns should be rejected as a future pandemic policy. So you've got kids out there who, kids are notoriously kids, right? I don't know how to say it better than that, but you just look and you talk to some of the kids at this age group, and it's different. They're a little bit different. Now, hopefully, it'll sort of come full circle and they'll figure it out. But if you look at suicide rates among kids, it's skyrocketed. Eating disorders, social disorders, physical disorders. So, what is the plan for that? What is the governmental plan for that? Since you caused it. And again, I'm not saying that the medical community did it on purpose. I'm not even saying that the government did it on purpose at first, although I do believe that the government saw an opportunity to seize control of a certain aspect of our lives, and they did it. And they relished it. And they used it. I believe that. And I think they understood that keeping people home, keeping people locked away, keeping people afraid, then there were certain things that they could do and get away with, like the way they presented voting in 2020, that gave them an upper leg, or they gave them power that they didn't realize that they could get before that, right? Because let's just make this wild assumption that the 2020 voting scenario was on the up and up, where somehow this complete moron who's in the White House right now, who is a literal shell of the man that ran even with Barack Obama as his vice president. Just a shell of that person. And again, that's not age knocking. It is what it is. You see it, I see it. If you're trying to tell me that man who ran a campaign from his basement, who could not put a series of sentences together that made him sound articulate and knowledgeable about anything, that man it just basically exploded with 81 million votes, destroying the record set by Barack Obama and beating Donald Trump by what, 5 million votes, something.